So on behalf of the League of Women Voters of Los Alamos, I would like to welcome you to this candidate forum. My name is Felicia Orth. I'm the current president of this league, which is a nonpartisan organization. Our mission is to enable voters to make educated decisions on election day. We welcome new members, both men and women. Membership forms are available on the refreshments table. They look like this. We also have some voter guide on the table. Hopefully you received one of these in your paper, the post last Thursday, I believe. There are also our county clerk, Michael Verdando, brought some sample ballots. There are different ones depending on what your address is, whether you're allowed to vote in District 1, District 2, or the Mirador election. The county clerk also brought some information cards that look like this with helpful information. You may know already that early voting starts tomorrow. This is a timely forum. Please take a moment now to reach for your cell phones and silence them or put them on stun. We're pleased to welcome our volunteer assistants from the Hill Talkers, the high school speech and debate team. This is Luke Creel, Eliana Padilla, and Aaron Rodnack back there. We will also see Samantha Frantillana. We're pleased to say that the forum is being recorded on the Zoom platform, and the video will be available at some point on the League's YouTube channel. Please refrain from other recording. Here's our format for this evening. Los Alamos County Clerk Michael Verdando will tell us about voting procedures for this year's local election. He will then answer some questions. We will then meet the candidates for the Los Alamos School Board Districts 1 and 2 and hear from them through opening statements, question and answers, and closing statements. Then we'll meet the candidates for the UNMLA Advisory Board, hear from them through opening statements, questions and answers, and closing statements. Finally, we will meet in person, as I understand it, one of the candidates for the Mirador Public Improvement District Board and hear from most or all of the rest of them through a statement. So, Mr. Verdando, if you would please.
Thank you. I will try to make this brief so you can get to the candidates. First, I would like to thank the League of Women Voters so much for what they do. They make my job a whole lot easier, so thank you all so very much. As Felicia said, early voting starts tomorrow at 8 o'clock in the municipal building. Expanded early voting will start on Saturday the 18th. That expands to the White Rock Town Hall. The hours expand to 6 p.m. And then voting will be open up on Election Day, November 4th, at those two locations, as well as the Betty E. Hart Senior Center, UNMLA, and the golf course. The last day to request an absentee ballot is October 20th. If you are planning on doing an absentee ballot, I strongly urge you to request it before then. If you are curious about which district you're in, which ballot, you can show up. We can get you sample ballots. Or if you want to check online, the Secretary of State has a website, www.nmvote.org. You can type in your name and some other information and find out which district you're voting in, and use that to use the guide to help you figure out which school board district or other districts you're voting in. With that, again, thank you to the League, and I will answer any questions if there are any.
If those of you with questions would raise your hand, one of our Hill Talkers will run the microphone to you. Are there questions of our clerk? Oh, over here.
I wonder if you could just clarify if voting is open on Indigenous Peoples Day.
It is not. Thank you for that. So early voting is going to be, because we start on a Tuesday and it's 2 weeks and we do not have, we're not open on that holiday. It will be Tuesday through Friday until the 18th, and then it expands to Monday through Saturday. Thank you for the question. Any others?
I forgot to welcome those of you who are online on the platform. In the event you have a question, you will not be able to unmute yourself. Please put it in the chat, and our Zoom platform monitor will read that question.
I think just as a reminder, the Monday before the last day, which is Tuesday, is also not a day you can vote anywhere, right?
Yes, thank you. So November 3rd is not open for voting. Early voting ends that Saturday prior to the election. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Michael. Let's now move to the Los Alamos School Board Districts 1 and 2. Our two candidates for District 1 are here in person, and if you would come up to the table, please. The two candidates of the three running for District 2 are on Zoom. So the school board consists of 5 members elected by district for staggered 4-year terms. In 2025, only Districts 1 and 2 have openings, so it is only voters in White Rock, Royal Crest, and some sections of the town site eastern area who will be voting. Board members develop educational policies, hire and supervise the superintendent, review and approve the budget, manage school property, among other things. Each of these duties requires the commitment to act for the benefit of the entire community. So I will always be mentioning our candidates in ballot order. In ballot order, the two candidates for District 1 are Stephanie Ann Galvez and Margie Serrato. You would? And let me just, a note about the microphones. You need to get the microphone pretty close to your mouth for it to work. Our format is each candidate has 2 minutes for an introductory statement. We'll take the introductory statements from the District 1 candidates and then from the District 2 candidates online. When all statements have been finished, we will take questions. Questions must be directed to all candidates. Following the question and answer period, each candidate will have another minute for a closing statement. And again, all of the times are being monitored by stopwatch by the Hill Talkers here. Please hold your applause until after all closing statements are completed. Thank you very much. So Ms. Galvez, if you would like to make your opening statement.
Can you hear me? Louder? How's this? Good evening, everyone. My name is Stephanie Galvez, and I am running for School Board District 1 because I believe in the power of strong schools for a strong community. I have deep roots here in Los Alamos, as I have lived here for the past 45 years. I raised my children, and like my children, I am a proud product of the Los Alamos schools. I have seen firsthand how important our schools are, not just for our children, but for our community as a whole. My father, Paul Martinez, dedicated his career to creating safe spaces for children through the youth activity centers. He taught me children are the heartbeat of our community. They deserve to be seen, supported, and given the tools to succeed. I believe in strong schools, one where every child succeeds academically. That means ensuring our students are strong readers, confident in math and science, and able to think critically and solve problems, because these are the skills that create opportunities, whether that's college, careers, or trades. I believe our teachers and our staff deserve to be heard and supported, and our parents must be treated as partners. I believe in a strong future, one where every child thrives, that takes leadership grounded in listening, transparency, and collaboration. Los Alamos is my home, and I believe that I will be the best candidate because I believe in our schools, and together we can keep Los Alamos strong for the next generation. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. We're going to hold our applause until after the closing statements. Ms. Serrato.
Volume check. Are we good? Okay. My name is Margie Serrato. I am the change that I want to see in the world. And I know that that's a bold statement to make. If you don't know me, that might also sound like an arrogant statement. But if you do know me, you know that it comes from a place of deep humility. And it also comes from a place of radical self-responsibility. For me, in my trajectory in my life, I've had to be in the position of navigating multiple cultures, multiple identities, multiple languages, multiple systems. And that has given me a very unique perspective on what the role of education can and should be as our world changes rapidly for our kids. I've had the privilege of living in many countries, teaching in other countries, and being able to help with the growth, the development, and the leadership of many students who grew up in one place, but because of circumstances in our ever-globalized world, had to move to other places that they were not familiar with. And we have a lot of people in Los Alamos who are not from here. And it is as important for the people who did grow up here, for the kids who grew up here, to be able to welcome, include, and understand others who are from different places, as it is for them to be able to go out into the world and be a bridge for better understanding and for expanded possibilities. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Mr. Harige was unable to join us this evening. So Barbara Califf is going to read his statement.
So he writes, "Good evening. I'm so sorry I couldn't be here with you in person tonight. I truly value opportunities like this to connect with the community and share my vision for our schools and hear the priorities of Los Alamos constituents. While I can't be here in person, I will publicly post my answers to all the candidate questions so that you can hear directly from me on every issue discussed tonight. I also encourage everyone to take one of my flyers with my contact information, and please don't hesitate to email me any questions you might have. I will publicly post my responses to those as well, because transparency and engagement with the community are very important to me. Thank you so much for being here tonight and for taking the time to be informed voters."
Thank you, Barbara. Ms. Hinckley, if you would unmute yourself, please.
Okay, I should be unmuted. Can you hear me?
Yes, thank you.
All right. First of all, I wanted to thank the League of Women Voters that I was able to do this forum remotely. I am currently in Tennessee on a trip that was planned about a year ago. I'm in my RV and headed back to Los Alamos. A little bit about me. I am a native of Los Alamos. I have been in Los Alamos since I was 2 years old. I went to school in Los Alamos. I graduated from Los Alamos High School. I went away to college. I got my degree, a bachelor's in accounting, and then I went and I've worked at the laboratory for a while in the budgeting department. It was during that time that I also got my master's degree in management. I recently was sent an article that I had written back in 2006 when I was teaching. I was not working at the lab anymore, about why I went into teaching in the first place. And that's still valid today as for why I'm running for the board. When I was at the laboratory, I felt like, oh, I had to get ahead. I had to get my master's degree. I had to make money. And it really wasn't very rewarding for me. And at the same time that I was working on getting my master's degree, both of my grandparents passed away. And that hit me very hard because I always thought I'll be able to spend more time with them when I'm done with my degree. At their funerals, there were many people who came up to me and said, you know, your grandparents helped me. My grandmother had taught China painting and my grandfather taught wood carving. And just that my grandparents had made a difference in the lives of these people. And that was why I went into teaching in the first place. And that's also the reason why I'm interested in serving on the board. I feel like Los Alamos is my town, and I want to serve and help as I can.
Thank you, Ms. Hinckley. Ms. Stevens on the Zoom platform. Can you unmute yourself? We did do a dry run earlier. Is Ms. Stevens still on the platform? She is. Would you hit ask to unmute, maybe? She says she cannot even. All right. I know you made her co-host, Sal. Yeah, she's a co-host, so she can unmute herself. Did you hit ask to unmute and then she could
Can you hear
respond?
me now?
Yes, yes. Thank you very
Oh,
much.
sorry. I would hit unmute and then the request came in and it kept like canceling it. I was like, oh no.
All righty. Yeah, your time will start now. Thank you.
Okay, so my name is Jasmine Stevens. I was born and raised in Los Alamos. My mother is an immigrant from Tunisia, and my father worked at the laboratories as a nuclear physicist. I went to school to Pinyon, so I'm kind of sad that that's not my district because that's my alumni school, Pinyon Panthers. But I'm very happy to represent District 2. What I love about District 2 is the sense of community Chamisa brings. And that is so important to every child to have a sense of belonging. And what I really want to focus on if I become a board member is making sure our children's needs are being met, whether that be their mental well-being, physical well-being, every part of the child matters to their success. And we need to focus more on the child as a whole instead of just their academics. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Stevens. We'll go now to questions. The league posed its questions for the voter guide, so we'll take questions from the audience tonight. If you are in the room, you need only raise your hand. We will run a microphone to you. If you are on the platform, again, please put your question into chat. Are there questions here? 1 minute per question, and each candidate has a minute and a half for the answer.
Current state law requires that members of school boards and districts with a population of more than 16,000 must reside in and be elected from single-member districts. In Los Alamos, the boundaries for the school districts are not coterminous with the boundaries that determine which elementary school a student attends, leading to confusion and lack of participation in the school board elections. Would you support or oppose a change in the law to allow school board members to be at large, like our county councilors? Please explain your answer.
Ms. Serrato?
I mixed up. Oh, understood. Okay, thank you for the question, Barbara. I understand that it does cause a lot of confusion, even for the candidates. And I do believe that since we are on the board and we are candidates for the board and we represent all schools, it would make sense that everybody who would be affected by our decision making should be able to choose. But I also understand why we have the districts the way that we do. And just like with anything else, it's a matter of listening to what the constituents feel is the right approach. There are histories of why these things happen, and I'm here to listen and to be a representative of the voice of our community, not just my own. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Galvez?
You bring up a good concern. I myself, it took a little while to understand the boundaries of District 1. I understand why we have the districts the way they do. But I also agree too that I am an advocate for my community. And if chosen, I need to make decisions based on everyone's best needs, which could mean running like the county councils and having it be general. But I can say it's a lot of work campaigning and it takes a lot of energy.
Thank you. Ms. Stevens on Zoom? Ms. Stevens, can you unmute yourself again? No? Would another prompt work? The ask to unmute prompt? No? All right. Our IT director, Sal, is saying she dropped off the platform. All right. If you would please, Sal, let me know when she rejoins us. We'll give her a chance to answer that. Ms. Hinckley, would you like to answer that question?
What I understand is that the districts were set up as
You're muted again.
Okay, I'll try again. As I understand, the districts were set up as they are so that each area had basically the same number of participants. I know it does not tie to the actual elementary schools, which would make sense because as the board member, the board is concerned about all of the students within the district, not just the elementary schools. I really don't know how I feel about if we should change the law so that they're at large. I kind of like it as it is with the districts and tied to certain areas. I agree with Ms. Galvez about that it make it very difficult to be campaigning for District 1 because it seems to be spread all over the place. But for me, I think my feeling is that I like it how it is. But of course, I would want to hear what the all of the families within the district, how they feel about that, and how they would prefer the elections, the districts either continue as they are or be at large positions. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hinckley. Sal has Ms. Stevens rejoined us. She has not. All right, we're going to move on then. Are there other questions? Yes, I see.
As a parent, is it okay? As a parent and a community member, I think it's important that those serving on the school board keep the focus on the students and the district's mission, rather than on personal agendas or beliefs. The school board should represent the entire community and maintain trust by making decisions that benefit all students, not just reflect individuals' ideology or professional platform. With that in mind, I have a question for the candidates. Serving on the school board comes with the responsibility to represent the entire community, not to advance personal beliefs or political agendas. How will you ensure that your service on the board focuses on supporting the students' academic success and the district's mission, rather than using the position to influence curriculum or policy based on personal views? And just as importantly, how will you keep a clear separation between your role in the school board and your own profession and media platform so that the board remains centered on the community rather than personal promotion?
All right, thank you. Ms. Galvez?
The role of the school board isn't a political agenda. It's to put the students first, and that's exactly what I plan to do.
Ms. Serrato?
That's a wonderful question. The position of the board members is to support, first and foremost, the strategic plans that have already been in place, to support the teachers, the students, the staff, in whatever ways are possible based on the roles that we have as board members. And it is also important to recognize that students are stakeholders in our decision-making process, and to listen to students' input on how they want their education to reflect academic excellence. So I think that that's a longer conversation, but at the end of the day, as a school board member, it is about doing the role as a school board member, not outside of it. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Ms. Hinckley?
Yes, so I agreed with what Ms. Galvez said, that it's not the school board is not a political position, nor is it a religious position. I have my own political beliefs and my own religious beliefs, but I feel that as a board member, I look at what is best for all of the students. What can the schools do to make our students successful, to give them the education that they need to pursue whatever they want to as they transition into adults. I will say that throughout the time that I was teaching, the 23 years that I was teaching in the district, I never brought my religious or my political views into my teaching job. Was not my job to do that. That is up to the parents to be doing that. So I think how to keep that out of the board is just to remember that any decision I make needs to be for all of the students, not for my own thoughts or achievement, but for what can help the students. Thanks.
Thank you. Has Ms. Stevens rejoined us? No, she has not. Alrighty. Are there other questions? I think I saw a hand over here. Yes. And apparently I'm supposed to be asking you to state your name first.
Candidates, thank you for being here. League of Women Voters, thank you for organizing this forum. This is really important for our community to talk to each other about these things. This question is for everybody, but Mrs. Sorrento spoke about her personal, broad international experience that gave her perspective, but then she posed a couple of politically charged terms: cross-cultural and identity issues that have great weight in our current cultural and political conversation across the nation. How do each of you feel about our schools indoctrinating our students to cultural and identity views that are contrary to their own family's religious and community values?
Ms. Zarato?
Thank you for that question. I think it's important to distinguish that terminology such as cross-cultural simply means people of more than one culture, which is pretty much the majority of us. And secondly, identity can be as easy as saying, I am a Latina and I am an American. Identity is very personal to every individual here, and that extends into our students. So it's not a political statement or an agenda. It's simply mentioning that we as individual human beings have our own ways of seeing ourselves, and that we have ancestry and heritage that informs who we are as human beings. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Galvez?
Yes, thank you for the question. That's a tough question. So I believe every student, you talked about religion, needs to understand everyone's religion and where they come from so that we can better understand each other. But with that said, I also believe academics unite us all. And with having strong academics, each child in our school district will be treated fairly, no matter what your race is, what your gender is, or your background. Every student should have access to the same education.
Thank you. Ms. Hinckley?
So the question had to do with the cultural and cross-cultural and identity. And my feeling is that as a school board, we want to be focused on the students' education and how best to meet their educational needs. We need to be focused on what we can do to help all of the students within the school district to learn, to achieve what they want. We also, though, do want to be creating members of students who will be able to be members of society. As such, I think that it's important for students to be able to see various different cultures, various religions, but as a school district, we need to make sure that if we're bringing in anything for any cultures, we need to hit all cultures. The same thing with with religion. If we're going to talk to or have classes about Judaism, we also need to have classes about
Ms. Hinckley, your time has stopped. Thank you. Other questions? Yes, Ellen.
Thank you. I'm wondering, candidates, what do you see as the district's greatest strength? And conversely, what's our most pressing challenge? And how do you think the school board can support those strengths and make progress on the challenges?
All right. Mrs. Galvez.
Thank you for that question, Ellen. I believe our school district's greatest strength is our academic excellence. The reason I say that is because I have always been very proud of being from Los Alamos. And with that said, I think being in one of the school board meetings, one of the students talked about issues that are happening in the high school level. And I believe we need to strengthen our social and our emotional well-being, in that we need to make sure every student knows that they are valued and every student matters. So I think that's where we need to strengthen our skills.
Thank you, Ms. Serrato.
Thank you for the question, Ellen. Based on what I have learned in conversations and also what I have observed as a parent, the academic excellence is absolutely one of the strongest points that we have. I have seen that in my own children since I have been here, in the way that my child, my eldest, has been identified as a gifted learner, which was something that I heavily advocated for her before in other places and was not able to have the opportunity to have until we got here, and her own teachers, without my input, got to see that in her and went through the process that we needed her to get the resources and the support that she needed. And I see that happening with other students. I also see that that's not happening with all students. So it's nuanced. And I would say that one of the greatest challenges that we have is also the social and cultural aspects of what our students are going through, not just at the elementary school, but also at the middle school and high school. And mental health awareness is also a big one. And this is something that the students themselves haven't mentioned. And because they are stakeholders in their own education, it is important to continue addressing those aspects, because those are the resources that are going to help them, not just as students, but as human beings who go out into the world. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hinckley.
I think that a strength of the school district, major strength of the school district, is the passion that all of the employees of the school district have, the passion for what they are doing, for the education that they are trying to instill into the students. I think one of the issues that the school district has is being able to hire and retain the best quality teachers that there are. And I'm not saying that the teachers that we have now aren't quality teachers. When the state went and leveled salaries, yeah, I don't know how many years ago, it's been a while, maybe 15 years ago or so, and went to the levels 1, 2, and 3, Los Alamos lost its edge that it had in really recruiting the best of the best. Another issue is that it is extremely expensive to live in Los Alamos, as we all know. And if you are a single teacher, you cannot live in Los Alamos on that salary. And I think the district needs to look at using some of the property that it owns and going.
Thank you, Ms. Hinckley. Your time is up. Other questions, or we can, oh, sorry. We have a question from the platform.
Okay, this is a question from the chat. Jody Benson asked, Los Alamos middle and high school students, as well as so many members of the community, want to see the schools become green, meaning eliminating waste, food waste, trash, water, carbon, to eventually become zero carbon / fully electrified. What could the schools do to create policy and a budget to fulfill the Green Schools Initiative?
All right, Ms. Serrato?
That is a great question. And I love the idea of having green campuses all over Los Alamos because we do say that we are environmentally responsible and environmentally focused. And so it makes sense to have our schools be a projection of that vision and those values that we have with regards to our environment. As far as what to do specifically, I do not know the nuance of how to change those policies. I do, however, know that one of the ways in which we can do that is by being more aware of the impact that we have and teaching our students how to change habits to improve in schools with what we already have and go from there. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Galvez.
That is a great question. I think it is wonderful to have a campus go more green. Being more fiscally aware, if I was a board member, I would need to understand what the costs of that would be. So I believe it would be that I would like to meet with the students, talk about ideas, see what they think, and then from there, start pushing that idea with the other board members to see what they think about it and look at a budget and see how we can help implement going green. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hinckley.
Lost my thought there. I think that we need to be careful remembering what the board has abilities to influence or their duties versus what's operational. And as far as making the facility overall more green, that's an operational decision. We can, as board members, encourage the superintendent to look at more ways to make the district more green. I know that there used to be a small amount in the budget to the elementary schools for them to have their green teams. I believe that got cut for some reason. I think that the district could look at the budget and how funds are being used and move some over to making the schools more green. I also believe that for the infrastructure that the district could be looking into agreements with the county and doing stuff combined together so that we're sharing the cost. Thanks.
Thank you. All right, let's move to closing statements so that we can then move to the UNMLA Advisory Board and the Mirador Board. Excuse me. Sorry?
Sorry, we had one more question
One more
over
question.
here.
All right,
He
this one-
technically raised his hand before the last one even, so
All
I
righty.
think we should give him the stage for a minute.
We'll take one more question. Go ahead.
Appreciate that. Thank you. I say this as a product of the Los Alamos school system and somebody whose parents spent their careers actually as teachers in the Los Alamos school system. Maybe it's a secret, maybe it's not, but a lot of the resources and emphasis in the Los Alamos school system go towards kids who are on the exceptional end of the spectrum and kids who are in the special needs part of the spectrum. And what tends to happen in the school system is those kids who are in the middle of the bell curve kind of are left to fend for themselves. What, if anything, can the board do to make the experience of those kids in the middle, maybe the missing middle, I know that's a different term, but to make their experience in school better, more fulfilling, and better prepare them for their futures?
Ms. Galvez?
Thank you for the question. That's a lot to think about in that question. I know what you mean about the middle performers and not having a lot of focus on them. But I think just making sure our teachers, who are our valued resources, are prepared with the tools and the skills they need to make sure that they assess everyone in their classroom, not just the top or the bottom, and that everyone in their class matters. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Serrato?
This is a conversation that has come up a lot in my time campaigning, and I recognize that like everything else, it's nuanced. The teachers have the ability to recognize when kids have needs, but they also lack things like time, resources, sometimes parental support. So it's very layered, and I think that that's one of the biggest things is we cannot expect the teachers to be the ones carrying the burden entirely. It requires a team effort, and part of it is not knowing what do they need to be better in that particular case, right, with the students. So it requires more conversation, and I know that I've said that a lot, but I think that that's a big issue is that we can't make decisions for them. We have to make decisions with them. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Hinckley?
So I believe that training our teachers, getting them really well trained, especially with new curriculums. From being a teacher, the amount of curriculum you get with a new adoption is like overwhelming, and we usually have one day of training or half a day of training. I believe that the district could look into agreements with curriculum companies where we had more ongoing training to get fully trained in how to use all the parts of the curriculum. I also believe that we need to have more staff helping in the classroom, more qualified trained staff being the instructional assistants, that they also receive training in how to use the curriculums. Maintaining the smaller class size as much as we can is very important to being able to reach all of the students. I think that teachers, instructional assistants also need more time to be planning together so that together they can be an effective team to help our students. Thanks.
Thank you. All right, now we'll move to the closing statements. Again, each of you has 1 minute. If you would, Ms. Galvez.
No pressure. Hello, everyone. I want to encourage you to vote for me. Why should you vote for me? I've been a resident of Los Alamos County my entire life. I've managed multi-million-dollar budgets, so I am fiscally responsible, and I truly care about this community and the children in the community, and I want to do what I can to make sure each child knows that they are valued and that we will give them the tools to succeed. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Serrato.
Referring back to the statement that I started with about being the change that I want to see in the world. All of you who are here today are part of that change. You're here because you care about our community, you care about our students, our schools, our teachers, and you care to see a vision of Los Alamos schools that not only is excellent academically and not only that is civically responsible, but one that nurtures our children in all facets of their lives. And I would like for you to join me in having that vision together and co-creating a stronger future for our students. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Hinckley.
I would like to encourage the constituents of District 2 to vote for me for school board. I believe that I bring some unique things to the board that the people running against me do not have. I have 23 years of teaching experience within the district. I've seen changes come and go. I've seen things that have worked and some that have not. I've also spent time working in the business office at the schools, so I understand the business side of how a school district is run. Los Alamos is my town. The students here, the children of Los Alamos, are our future. I believe in them. I want to be able to provide them with the best possible start that they can have. And I think that I am a good candidate to try to do that on the school board. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, thank you all. Alrighty. All registered voters in Los Alamos can vote for 3 UNMLA advisory board members who are elected at large to represent the community. Their role is to serve as an advisory body to the UNM Board of Regents on matters related to the UNMLA branch campus. They provide input on the branch's priorities, act as a sounding board for the chancellor, approve the annual budget, and assist in approving and certifying the tax levy to Los Alamos County, calling elections for tax levies and advisory board position. The 4 candidates who have filed for the 3 positions are, in ballot order, Andrew Fisher Wright, David E. Hampton, Connor Tiffany Tharp, and Brian Leo Fury. We do have spaces for all of you up here. If you would join us up here, please. Each candidate will have 2 minutes for an introductory statement. When they are finished, we will take questions. Questions are directed to all candidates. And following the question and answer period, each candidate will have another minute for a closing statement. Again, please hold your applause until after all of the closing statements are completed. So, Mr. Wright.
So my name is Andy Wright. I'm a candidate for the UNMLA Advisory Board here. I believe this position would be an opportunity for me to use my experience working in higher education to benefit the community here in Los Alamos. The importance of an educational institution serving young adults in our area cannot be overstated, and I would be very excited to serve as a member of the advisory board. One reason I feel I could serve the community in this way is that I have a great deal of experience working with the age group that UNMLA primarily serves. While completing my doctoral work at UT Austin, I had the chance to work with undergraduates teaching film history as well as media ethics, as well as managing a staff of 65 writing tutors at the University Writing Center there. And from both my anecdotal experience and the qualitative interviews and surveys that I conducted and presented at conferences ranging from Lubbock to British Columbia, I learned something that a lot of us know intuitively at this point. The generation who's come of age post-2020 has distinctly different needs for both professional and personal development. Direct instruction with low student to faculty ratio, hybrid or remote options, and professional certificates that deliver distinct career pathways are already a part of UNMLA's model, and I would advocate to make sure that these continue. I'm aware, however, that the board's primary role is not deciding curriculum, but rather ensuring funding for the institution through such means as advocating for the Title V matching grant, as well as potential updates to the state's funding formula. I would support UNMLA's mission of educating the community and our young members. I look forward to this forum, and thank you to the League of Women Voters for arranging it.
Thank you. Mr. Hampton.
Once again, thank you to the League of Women Voters for hosting it. Thank you to everyone who's shown up here and online. And a special shout out to all of our election workers who are about ready to start tomorrow. Thank you, you guys. We couldn't do it without you, and I'll miss you. My name is David Hampton. I've been in the county for 19 years. My wife Lisa and I have raised 8 kids, 3 of which have attended UNM, as has Lisa. We're both retired. I have attended almost every UNMLA board meeting since 2019. I was appointed last year, and just in time to help out with the bond campaign, which, as Dr. Frazier said, or Dr. Wright, sorry, as Dr. Wright said, getting UNM funded is critical, and it's one of our greater problems right now. Even though we're an advisory board, the things I like to advocate the regions for are additional 4-year degrees, additional certifications for trade and technical categories, a more robust dual credit system for our high school students, and more community education. There's a lot of our adults who want to continue their education after they graduate. So I'd like you guys to vote for me. I have a lot of experience. I work real well with multiple people and organizations in the community. And thank you very much.
Thank you. Ms. Tharp.
Hi, everyone. My name is Connor with an E. That will be important tomorrow when you head to the ballot box, which I know you all will because you're here tonight. So this is important for you all. I noticed in early 2025 that there was an empty spot on the UNMLA advisory board that needed some filling. So I put my application in, fully expecting to be told, no, thank you, you're too young. We don't really want to hear from you. And shockingly, I was brought back in after the vote and was told that I would be serving for the remainder of the term. So that's why I'm here in front of you tonight. I have experience in workforce and economic development, which I think is critical for our community colleges across the state, but especially here in Los Alamos. I know how deeply community colleges impact the economic health of a community, and UNMLA is at the forefront of doing that for our local businesses and for our workforce. I myself am a non-traditional student. I started off the easy way and then ended up going back to grad school with a 2-month-old and a full-time job and a husband who was also in graduate school. So we kind of juggled a whole lot of balls in the air on that one. We came out on the other end just fine. And so I know that other people can do it too. So what I want to do as a member of the UNMLA Advisory Board is advocate for non-traditional students who need flexible scheduling and more options for their curriculums. And that's what I'm here to help advocate for. So thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Fury.
Good evening. I'm Brian Fury. Long-term resident of Los Alamos, been here for about almost 40 years, not quite. PhD in physical chemistry, 32 plus years at the laboratory, got to work in lots of different areas, focused mostly on national security, but had the opportunity during that time to have 3 PhD students that I graduated, 2 masters that I graduated, had on the order of about 50 different students that worked for me at various times, all of which got to advance in their capabilities. They got a chance to write articles and so forth. So I've been involved in this education for a long time. My time as a graduate student's a while back, but I remember those days. I come with a deep scientific foundation and a deep commitment to the community. I work and have been in this community a long time, all the way from music to encouraging students to move forward and helping UNMLA do this crosscut of all the different sets of folks that they're responsible for, from students to master's students to technicians to full BS degrees. They cover the waterfront. And that's something that I can really help them do. I can look at help them balance between the technical degrees and the BS degrees and the advanced degrees. So that's an opportunity that I can bring forward, and I'd like to serve in that role and help them become even stronger. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll move now to questions. Are there questions of the candidates for the UNMLA Advisory Board? In the room, just raise your hand. On the platform, please put your question in the chat. Yes, Helena.
I heard at least one of you say you would like to increase the dual credit opportunities. My understanding is that UNM doesn't get tuition from a high school student taking a dual credit. So in light of your funds needs, how are you going to compensate if you have more students taking free classes versus those who pay tuition?
We'll start with candidate Hampton.
So typically they're filling out empty slots in other classes for people who are actually enrolled in the college, but that is something that should be discussed. The opportunity to have our kids get a free 2-year degree before they leave is one we shouldn't forego. So where the funds come from, whether they come from school district funds or UNMLA funds or some other state funds, that should be discussed.
Thank you. Candidate Tharp.
Great question. I agree with David. It is something that does need to be discussed in more depth. And that is something I believe that we've talked about advocating the state for and the district for. As a dual credit student myself, not too long ago, it was immensely impactful on my education as a college student. So I'd love to see that continue on, hopefully with funding. Be great.
Thank you. Candidate Fury.
So their comments are right in line with mine. You know, I spent some time talking to Mike Holzloth, and he really sees the dual credit as really an advantage for the university and the UNMLA in particular, because that is their feedstock for their future students. So that's one aspect that he and I talked about, is how do we not only help the students get the dual credit, but also move forward into looking at UNM as a stepping stone for their first step in getting their degrees. That way, it's an investment in the future of UNMLA, getting new students into the system.
Thank you. Candidate Wright.
Yeah, thank you all for saying these things. It's covered a lot of what I wanted to cover here. I think I'd just like to reiterate that opportunity that the dual credit offer is such a large opportunity and so impactful to our community. I think that's definitely something to keep in mind as we navigate this sort of funding situation. Thank you.
Thank you. Other questions? Yes.
Hello, thank you for being here, and thank you for running. My question is, the world is changing rapidly, especially recently, in the last few years. What do you think that students need from UNMLA, both local and regional students, and how can you as a board member help facilitate that?
We'll start with candidate Tharp.
Great question, Caroline. Thank you for bringing that up. I think that students need flexible scheduling. We see a lot of students who are contributing to their families, so they're not scheduling their lives around, typically you would schedule your life around school. Now they're scheduling school around their lives. So being able to have a class that can be taken in a flexible way where they can attend online or attend asynchronously was immensely helpful. I know it was helpful for me when I was working full-time and momming full-time and also doing school full-time. I wouldn't have been able to do it without a flexible schedule and without supportive faculty. So to me, I see that as the most impactful thing that students need at this point. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Fury.
So we are definitely in a changing world in a whole variety of ways. You know, I spent, at least half my career doing national security policy and see that in spades of what has changed and how it changed. what UNMLA can help bring is the diversity of courses that help students, whether they're young, older, middle-aged, new career, in understanding what those cross sections are and how they can be better and can engage in that arena. The other piece that I'll toss out here, because I got 1 minute, is one thing that I can bring to help some of this is the national security portfolio. And I think we can collaborate with UNM, Emil Knackley in particular, that's leading nuclear security issues, and look at options for increasing funding in that vein.
Okay, thank you, Candidate Wright.
Yeah, this is a great question. I think something that Connor already brought up here as well is the need for flexibility, the need for sort of people to have the ability to go to class online or have sort of more hybrid options. But also what 30 years of social science tells us is that universities are traditionally where people begin to meet people who are unlike themselves for the first time. And so I think not giving up those in-person opportunities for mentorship and collaboration in groups, I think would be the largest need that students have in this, as you mentioned, changing world. Yeah.
Thank you, Candidate Hampton.
So the methodology for UNMLA to be funded is based on a state funding formula, because we do have free tuition for those who qualify. And right now the state funding formula for UNMLA is broken. We are severely underfunded to the extent that most of the instructors at UNMLA make less than those at the high school. So we frequently have staffing shortages. So to accomplish all these things, we need to continue to lobby and advocate for that funding formula to be corrected so we can be on the same footing as the other universities.
Thank you. Other questions? Sir?
Hello, I'm Andrew Fraser. And as I understand it, the board that you're running for doesn't have any authority over curriculum, and that's all handled from the Albuquerque office. Is that right?
Just hold
closer to you, Mel.
Hold it closer.
All right. I would like you to comment on your position you're running for and its influence on curriculum, and how appropriate it is for the mothership in Albuquerque to be dictating curriculum here. Thank you.
We'll start with Candidate Fury.
So we all have influence. I've spent my career with influence. I didn't necessarily have the money to make things happen in looking in the national security portfolio, but the aspect that we bring to it is our knowledge and influence, and we can work with both our chancellor here and UNM corporate and help them understand the differences and why Los Alamos UNMLA has different demands than does UNM. And I think we can win that argument.
Thank you, Candidate Wright.
Yeah, I think that's sort of matches my understanding that, of course, the board does not have direct influence on curriculum, but as Brian was saying there, the ability to advocate for our community, and whether it be through the chancellor or to the Albuquerque campus administration directly. I think that's sort of the role as I understand it.
Candidate Hampton.
So it can be a long process. For the first time in years, we had one of the regents attend our board meeting at our last board meeting. So we gave her a broadside of all the things that we wanted. And one of her responses was that it depends how many people are willing to sign up for them. So we did get them to agree to one four-year degree, a bachelor's in mechanical engineering, and that's been very successful. So if we can boost attendance, and a lot of that is going to be based on solving the funding formula and getting instructors. If we can boost attendance and make these programs successful, then we can advocate for additional ones.
Thank you, Candidate Tharp.
Great question. I know that in my previous working position, I did some work with UNM Taos, and they had vastly different curriculum and offerings than we have here. So we know that it's possible to get different things for different communities. Like everyone here's alluded to, I think it just takes a heavy hand of advocacy and being loud enough to make it happen, which we're happy to do. As far as curriculum goes, we don't have influence over the curriculum itself, but we can advocate for programming.
Thank you. Other questions on the platform, if you would, then I'll go to you. Let's take one from the platform first.
All right, this is a question from the chat from Jody Benson. Could you please tell us what other boards or commissions you have served on?
All right, we'll start with candidate Wright.
Yeah, here in Los Alamos County, I am on the Arts and Public Places Board. Back at UT, that might be a longer list. I was very lucky to be involved in a lot of things, including being on the board of a couple of academic journals, being on the board of the Student Curriculum Committee for the library, as well as the Lower Division Curriculum Committee for the College of Liberal Arts, and as well as several other teaching positions there at UT.
Thank you. Candidate Hampton.
I'm currently serving on the County Personnel Board, the County Transportation Board, the Arts Council Board, Amigos del Rancho Los Luceros Board. I might be forgetting one or so. I've previously served on the County Planning and Zoning, Board of Registration, and Parks and Rec Board. I also served on the board of the Los Alamos Cooperative Market.
Thank you. Candidate Thurb.
Well, how do you follow that? I I serve on the Lodgers Tax Advisory Board for the county. I serve for my daughter's daycare. We are a co-op, so we are owned by the parents. I serve as their Parent Family Connections Committee chair. So I do a lot of planning. I serve as my party secretary and party ward chair, vice chair. Sorry, David.
Thank you. Candidate Fury.
Thank you for the reminder. I forgot one. I was part of the YMCA board, saw a lot of the improvements that happened there, climbing wall, et cetera, in the pool. Part of the United Way Los Alamos. Los Alamos Community Winds Board, and we put on a couple conferences recently, national conferences down in Santa Fe with Los Alamos, Santa Fe, and Albuquerque. And then another one is I was the Lano Foundation, Los Alamos Employee Scholarship Fund selection team for, well, it's supposed to be 6 years, 2 3s, but because of, I went to DC in between, that was really turned into about 8 years. And that was a really wonderful way to learn education and what we in this community can do to advance the next generation.
Thank you. Let's see, sir.
Thank you. So many kids coming out of high school don't typically follow, some kids don't follow a traditional educational path, going from high school to a university or a 2-year program. Many kids, especially in this area, go on to a trade school or try to join one of the local unions. So what programs, I know the high school has some shop classes, but how can you and the board support people who are not going to follow a traditional educational path to get the right education, to get the experience needed to join a local union, and those who are currently working in the union, how will you support them to continue their furthering their education if they wish to? Speaking from firsthand experience, I was a pipe fitter by trade, and I can tell you I worked a lot of long hours, and I had to find time anywhere in between to get a class. So how can you support those following a non-traditional education, especially in the trades?
We'll start with candidate Hampton.
I plan on continuing to advocate for those kind of certifications. In addition, I think we're doing glove box, welding, and a few others, but we definitely need more of the trades. We've kind of focused on the technical, but yeah, I want to get more trades going, which will make it more open to the, like you said, for high school students who want to follow non-traditional paths?
Candidate Tharp.
I love our non-traditional students. I think that we have long overlooked the trades. My generation especially really missed out on the trade train. We were told to go to a four-year school and that was the only way to go. So we're missing a whole generation of trades and we really need them back. So I know that David and I have spoken with the chancellor about trying to get more trade opportunities so we can keep that workforce pipeline here and stop losing them to other schools across the state. But as far as the transition from trade to more technical that you were talking about, again, it just goes back to flexibility and being able to do an asynchronous class on your own time when life is happening and you have to support your family and still work 40 hours a week. So I really hope to advocate for that more frequently this upcoming term. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Fury.
So UNMLA actually has the mandate to be covering all those capabilities where there's students transitioning, those that are looking for associate's degrees, certification, EMTs, nursing, etc. But the health field's a big one that continues to grow. And then of course they do have the welding program there now. By the way, they're looking for instructor. The other piece is that, you know, that kind of issue has been one that I actually helped found for the Lano Foundation with something called Career Pathways, and providing a little bit of money for people that didn't quite get to, life got in their way, and then they wanted to do something better. A little bit of money goes a long ways. So one of the places you can get some money from there and apply it to UNMLA, because they have a diverse set of things that you can attend and learn from.
You, Candidate Wright.
Yeah, this is a great question. As I think all of us had said at this point, continue to push for those certifications, continuing to push for the flexibility of instruction. And I think more and more of the research is pointing to these sort of certifications and programs that offer a kind of clear path to a career is what this generation coming of age is looking for at this point. Something the president is so uncertain that that level of clarity in terms of career paths is something that's really desired and that I would advocate for.
Thank you. Other questions this evening for the UNMLA Advisory Board candidate? Oh. Here to Samantha.
I'm not sure if this is like the forte necessarily, but a year ago I was in it's a robotics dual credit with UNMLA, and you could get a robotics certification taking some classes. And halfway through the semester, they cut it to completely rework it. And it wouldn't be a problem except people that were, if you were in it, you pretty much couldn't get your certification during that time for like at least another year. And for me, it wasn't a huge problem. I'd only taken like a couple semesters of classes. But it was for people who were in it for like a couple years. Maybe they had a class left and they just couldn't get the certification. And on top of that, all our counselors really told us was, that's it. Like, you can't get your certification. This is it. And there was just a lot of lack of communication from, I'm not sure if it's like you guys specifically or if it's someone else's job to communicate with high schoolers taking those classes. But like overall, my question is like, how do you communicate when things like that happen, and also overall opportunities to more high school?
All right, thank you. Candidate Tharp.
I'm really sorry that happened to you. That's super, and not just to you, but to a whole group of people, it sounds like, and probably seniors who don't get to have that chance anymore. I don't know what the fix for that would be. I think it would need to be a big conversation between our school board, who we just heard from some candidates, and probably our chancellor and UNM as the big corporation, like Brian referred to it as earlier. So I don't know what the fix for that would be, but hopefully we could come to a compromise and and get your certification for you, because I know you worked hard for the couple semesters that you did. I'm really sorry that that didn't flesh out for you.
Candidate Ferry.
So I would argue that this is one of the roles that we, whoever are on the, of us, end up on the board. Pick up the phone, call us. We have the reach into the chancellor and the influence to maybe make a correction. So ask us for help, number one. And number two, the other part would be some of us reach out and we can make connections into the laboratory and get some folks that can help you finish at least the technical aspect of that effort. That would be my 2 cents.
Thank you. Candidate Wright.
Yeah, it's frustrating to hear about this, but I think as we've all sort of said at this point again, that communication at an organization of any size is always just a tricky thing, but this is hopefully the board would be the organ that you would use to communicate that frustration and that we could then in turn use to communicate that up. And that's, yeah, again, I'm sorry to hear about that. That's a very frustrating outcome.
Candidate Hampton.
Yeah, I too am really sorry that happened. I was at that meeting where we found out about it. And in the 6 years or so that I've attended those meetings, that's literally the worst thing I've ever heard about UNMLA. And there were multiple failures. And as you correctly pointed out, most of them were communication failures. And it was so bad that by the time, I mean, I think there were 6 different people who made public comment at that meeting, and it was something they couldn't even reverse at that point. So I believe that there's actually changes made, including personnel changes as a result of that, but I'm really sorry that happened.
Thank you. Other questions? Other questions? Anything at all? So we can move then to closing statements. And let's start with candidate Fury. You have 1 minute each.
Okay, 2 quick things I want to point out. One is UNMLA is growing. That'll help address some of the funding shortages. Another thing that we really need to do is increase the visibility of UNMLA. Folks, until I talked to them, didn't know everything that they are doing. So back to the closing, long-term resident Los Alamos, strong educational experience, sound scientific foundation. UNMLA connects so much of this community in so many different ways that I won't go into right here. I can help develop the right balance between technical and academics, help deal with resources, and as we've all talked about, figure out how to enhance Title V funding, which will provide some flexibility for UNMLA. Thank you for your time and consideration, and thanks to the league for putting this on.
Thank you, Candidate Wright.
Yeah, and thank you again to the league and my fellow candidates, as well as members of the public here participating in this forum. One thing I never hoped, or I hope to never take for granted, is just how engaged this community is. That's something that's not true of a lot of places in even our nation, and I really appreciate that about our community here. You've heard my qualifications, but maybe my largest motivator for candidacy is my foundational belief that when you think you can help your community, you should try to. I've already begun to do that through work with the nonprofit Los Alamos Arts Council, where I serve as the Assistant Executive Director, as well as my time serving on our county's Art and Public Places Board. I believe that serving on UNMLA's board is a way that I could continue helping our community that really matches my qualifications. And I hope that you all share this opinion. Thank you.
Thank you, Candidate Hampton.
Well said by all the candidates, and thank you all for attending. And I just want to remind people that they need to vote for 3 candidates and not just only for one. We need 5 people for the board to work, and we need 3 to be elected in this election. So thank you.
Thank you, Candidate Tharp.
Thank you all so much for coming, and thank you to the league for putting it on. I know it's a big lift. You guys had great questions tonight. I just want to remind you all that I have firsthand experience being a non-traditional student and knowing what that feels like and knowing all the stressors that go into it. And I know that with that experience, I can advocate really well for our students at UNMLA. So if elected, I'll continue to listen, collaborate, and advocate for our students and our community as a whole. And I hope that you remember it's Connor with an E when you go to the ballot box tomorrow. So make sure to look for my name, okay? Thank you all so much.
Thank you all. It's time to clap. Thank you. All right, we will move now to the Mirador Public Improvement Board election.
No,
All right. All righty. Election of the Mirador Public Improvement District Board members is only open to residents of Mirador in White Rock, across the street, I believe. The Mirador PID Board oversees the property tax increment for infrastructure projects such as utilities and other amenities that benefit Mirador residents. The Mirador PID Board has 3 vacancies and 9 candidates. In ballot order, Sandra K. Brewer Jones, Juan Manuel Galvez, Catherine Aline Martin, Nicholas Michael Martin, Megan Hesselink, Eric J. Pavlina, Elizabeth Ann Suma, Kenneth Joseph Suma, and Robert Nicholas Kwalik. The one candidate who is able to join us in person this evening is Mr. Galvez. Thank you, Mr. Galvez. Some of the other candidates have submitted statements to be read by one of our board members. So the first statement, do we have one from candidate Jones? You, please. Do we have a statement from candidate Jones? No? Oh. We're looking for a microphone. Microphone walked over to the snack table. Go ahead.
So Ms. Jones wrote, "Thank you, League of Women Voters, for hosting this forum. I encourage all who are able to vote in the upcoming election. I'm on the ballot for the Mirador PID and hope to represent Mirador residents. I bring integrity and a commitment to transparency to the community. Thank you."
Thank you. Mr. Galvez, I understand you have a statement.
Thank you, and I appreciate the League of Women Voters for hosting this event tonight. My name is Juan Galvez, and I'm proud to call Mirador home. My family and I moved here with the intention of deepening our roots here in Los Alamos County. This isn't just a stop for us along the way. This is our community, this is our home, and I want to see it thrive for years to come. I'm running for Mirador PID because I believe residents deserve a strong voice in how our levy dollars are managed. The PID is a long-term commitment for all of us. Every month, we contribute to building and maintaining the infrastructure that makes Mirador possible: roads, sidewalks, utilities, and amenities that shape our daily lives. Those funds should always be handled responsibly, transparently, and with the residents' best interest in mind. I bring more than 20 years of experience leading complex projects and facility maintenance in high-stakes environments. I currently serve as a group lead, overseeing a large portfolio of maintenance and improvement projects across LAM. Where I balance budget, coordinate teams, and ensure projects are delivered on time and to the highest standards. I've managed government contracts, conducted risk assessments, and worked closely with stakeholders to make sure resources are used effectively to meet both immediate needs and long-term goals. My educational background includes a bachelor's in construction management and a master's in project management, along with certifications in maintenance planning, risk management, safety, and emergency response. These experiences have given me the tools to provide reliable and thoughtful leadership, exactly what the PID needs. Beyond technical experience, my career has been about bringing people together to solve problems. I've worked across diverse teams, mentored young professionals, and built programs to improve safety and engagement. That same spirit of collaboration is what I bring here to ensure Mirador continues to grow in a vibrant, safe, and welcoming neighborhood we all envision. I would be honored to earn your trust and your support. Together, we can make sure that Mirador PID works for us, not just as a financial mechanism, but as a tool to build the kind of neighborhood we want to raise our families in. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Galvez. Do we have a statement on behalf of Catherine Martin?
This is a statement from Catherine Martin. I have been a Mirador resident for 2 years. I am unable to join the meeting this evening due to a prior commitment. I feel I am qualified for the Public Infrastructure District, PID board, because my career as a civil environmental engineer has given me experience in design and maintenance of utility systems and management of financed construction projects similar to the Mirador PID. It's important for the Mirador residents to understand that the Public Infrastructure District Board is not like the Homeowners Association. The funds collected through our special property taxes are paying back the bond for the construction of the utility systems. The utility systems have been turned over to the county for operation and maintenance. There will be no projects to be managed in the future, just the continued repayments. Our primary roles as board members will be to verify the payment transactions, provide the annual statement to the residents, and influence the administrative costs associated with the PID. My concern for the PID is that the build-out of the development is taking longer than initially expected, and the repayment schedule may be impacted in the future. This is not a problem for the new slate of board members to solve, but a reason to encourage the county and developer to continue working together to complete the Mirador development, to continue the apartments and commercial space in the lower parcel. I look forward to handling these responsibilities for my neighbors.
Thank you, Lynn. Do we have a statement on behalf of Mr. Martin? No. Do we have a statement on behalf of Ms. Hesselink?
So this is from Megan Hesselink. I've been a Mirador resident for 6 years, one of the first families to move in and stay. I've watched our neighborhood grow, and I want to make sure it grows the right way. That's why I'm running for the Mirador PID board. My neighbors and I contribute a significant amount of money each year into the PID. It's not a small investment, and it deserves clear accountability and careful management. Serving on the PID board is one way I can help ensure that our contributions are being directed responsibly. Running for the Mirador PID board is about more than finances. It's about stewardship of the community we all live in together. I want to safeguard the investments we've made to have our homes exist, increase the transparency of the process of how the PID operates, and ensure Mirador continues to grow as a neighborhood we're proud to call home.
Thank you. Do we have a statement on behalf of Mr. Pavlina? No. Do we have a statement on behalf of Ms. Suma? Mr. Suma or Mr. Kwalik? No. All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Galvez. Let's clap Mr. Galvez. Thank you so much to our Hill Talkers, our timekeepers here. It is always charming to have the young people in the room, especially when they come with good questions. And thank you to all who provided snacks with Wendy Swanson, our arrangements coordinator. Thank you to the board members. Thank you to Sal, who just has done a magnificent job with the AV tonight. Thank you to everyone on the platform, and vote early. Thank you.